Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanam Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Upashama Prakarana, section 66. Sage Vasishtha related to Rama the episode between Bhasa and Vilasa. They both became enlightened by mutual communications, each one sharing the knowledge with the other. Especially Bhasa was more mature, so he went on giving friendly advice regarding enlightenment. And Vilasa in turn urged Bhasa to bring out more and more. That's called friendly people. As a result, both attained enlightenment. But what type of talks they used to have, a little glimpse of that Vasishtha gives to Rama. That's just the setting. Vasishtha could have said all that directly himself. But this is spicing of the same teaching. When you bring some little spice, it becomes more interesting. Otherwise, the same teaching. Rama will say, "Didn't you tell me all that yesterday?" I'm joking. Now, coming to the wisdom. Between the Bhasa Vilasa, the Bhasa is telling to Vilasa. And even if one attains a human body, it is difficult to be endowed with the aspiration for self-realization. Attached to the object of the senses, the soul abides in the mountainous region of embodiment. And bitten by the snakes of sense enjoyments and pierced by the thorns of cravings, it continues to tumble from one cave to another. It's all highly poetic writing of sage Valmiki. First point in this, understand. Look at yourself and ask yourself, are you a human body? Now be extremely thrilled. Look at so many souls struggling as dogs and cats and tigers and elephants and all types, even butterflies, spiders. You are none of them. You are a human being. But what's good about it? You are blessed with three great blessings. Firstly, your human embodiment, which is a great blessing. Second blessing will develop if you develop aspiration. What's the purpose for which we exist? That's called mumukshutvam. First was the manushyatvam, being manushya. Manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, mahapurush samshaya. These are three great blessings. Being a human being, and great blessing as a human being, being keen to fulfill the purpose of your embodiment, called mumukshutvam. And in order to do so, to be able to be guided by someone who is expert, skilled in spiritual knowledge, and who is enlightened. The first point, as a human being, you begin to develop spiritual sensitivity. If you continue with your good karmas, with virtuous qualities, backed up by your good karmas, you will be drawn to saintly personalities for your guidance. If you are a sincere musician learning to have music, you will not go to a donkey to learn the music. Or a wolf in a sheep's clothing. But if you are not, then a wolf in a sheep clothing will be more interesting. You spend all your time learning music. So, credit goes to you for finding the correct guidance. That point has to be understood. If you don't get that correct guidance, if these blessings are not recognized by you, then understand the predicament you face. What's the predicament? Attached to the objects of the senses. You live as if in a hilly region, as a wild tribe, bitten by the snakes of sense enjoyments. Because every enjoyment brings about raga and dvesha. These are the two poison fangs of the snake. Snake is Bhranti, world of illusion. So, when you like a particular sense enjoyment, now raga develops. You want to secure whatever gives you great pleasure. Maybe a human being, maybe an object of pleasure, maybe just waffles. And when you try to secure something you like, now also you have to keep your eye on anything that will take away your object of pleasure. So, with every enjoyment, you go through two types of mental involvement. How to hold it, how to negate anything that will come in your way. It's called raga and dvesha. These are two fangs of the snake. bitten by these two fangs, all your attainment will not save you from the cycle of birth and death. Birth and death. In other words, firstly, your desires will not be fulfilled. So you will come back in another birth, led by your desire, led by your karmic process. And this process, outwardly, it may seem you have made a big improvement. In this life, you have been poor and pauper. That's not proper. In next life, you become very rich and prosperous. Next life, you become a very powerful person. All seems like, hey, now you are moving with great success. But it's not ideal. This is your ego's deal. Ideal is I, deal of the I. The real I makes the deal. And that deal is breaking the cycle of birth and death. But when ego makes the deal, its deal is in the realm of darkness. So, if you are encountering, you live a miserable life from a spiritual point of view. From your own point of view, you may be very joyous. Bitten by snakes of sense enjoyments, pierced by the thorns of cravings. No matter how much enjoyment, it goes on enhancing your craving. And craving pinches you like thorns. And as a result, you tumble. In a wild mountainous region, there are cave after cave. You're being embodied in a human embodiment, led by ignorance, it's just like tumbling into a cave. Hridaya Guha. And that you go on doing that. This should not be the ideal. For a long, long time, the soul continues to wander in the dark night of ignorance, experiencing the bitter and sweet fruits of karmas. As long as your ego goes after worldly concept of progress, everyone has their own idea of what it means to be successful, how to go viral. That's ego's deal. As long as you are living with ego's deal, you are living in darkness. And ego's deal is sakamya karma. You are looking for your fulfillment as a result of karma, as in the form of fruit of karma. Your mind says you have to do something that will result in my liberation. Not liberation as in a healthy way. Any karma is just like saying, I will do a lot of charitable work. If I do day by day 100 charities, I will become liberated. Liberation doesn't come that way. Your good karmas will give fruit in the form of pleasant experiences, prosperity. But prosperity itself doesn't mean that you have become wise. 90% chance your prosperity will make your ego more swollen. You have examples in the world. People with great power and prosperity. And look at their ego and their wisdom. Extremely shallow. I'm not pointing names. And news media is filled with all that. For a long, long time, the soul continues to wander in the dark night of ignorance, experiencing the bitter and sweet fruits of karmas. Very important to understand. All worldly attainments are based on karmas. But spiritual attainment is not a result of your fruit of karma. A switch has to develop. You do your karmas. Karmas you are doing. Karmas are works, activities continue in your life. Through your thought, through your word, through your action. All that you do is creates karma. But you allow all this to happen for fulfillment of purpose of your life. And what is that purpose? The same activity that builds up more and more attachment to worldly goal, same activity done with a different attitude, with deeper understanding. In other words, if you do it as worship of God, as invoking God, and then your interest becomes how to purify your heart. Purity of a heart, calmness of your mind, tranquility of your chitta, unconscious, that becomes your objective, not how many trees you have planted, how many mangoes are waiting to go into your refrigerator. But at the same time, don't be frustrated. You can have all this, but you are not confined to just the fruits. If you develop what I'm making you understand, same karma becomes karma yoga, which is with a spiritual vision. When karma is not karma yoga, then all that you look for, what you are going to get in the world. All you are looking for that you will get wonderful fruits. But then you suddenly know that you have to sell the house. All that you have planted, they are going into the mouth of others. The karmic world gives you great frustrations. Frustration after frustration. But if you had a different type of heart, that you are making all this, whether I eat it or neighbors eat it or anywhere else, whoever, they are all my brothers, they are all my sisters, they are all my relatives. And so it will be always joyous. When you have that type of attitude, it doesn't happen immediately, but you are moving towards that. then your action, your karma becomes karma yoga. Switching from karma to karma yoga doesn't mean that you give up your actions. Everything that you need to do in life, you continue doing it. And you do it better if you become a karma yoga. Otherwise, you are doing it for the sake of fruit. A student is studying, but he's teaching, keeping his mind in a state of trickery. How can I steal the questions that are going to be presented so that I can pass the exam? That movement is karma movement that binds you. You just want the result by hook or by crook. But karma yoga movement, you are so well prepared that you, even before you give your examination, you have internal fulfillment. You simply know that you are going to shine up. You will shine. It's not examination is going to prove that you are successful. You are already successful. Figure that out. That type of movement is karma yoga. And that movement requires gradual process with patience. In any project, there will be always error, correction. And you will begin to understand it. Something that is higher, more positive. You don't need anybody else to authenticate it. You yourself understand it. If your headache is gone, you don't have to ask anybody. Can you look at me and say, my headache is gone? No, you experience it by yourself. In other words, real success, real spiritual progress doesn't require any external proof. You have own internal fulfillment and internal conviction develops automatically. This I described in relation to karma. Similarly, allow that movement in relation to your feelings, emotional world. How do you handle your love or your near and dear ones? And in that loving movement, if you continue to hold on to the people, that love becomes moha. Hold on by controlling them. But if you develop a profounder state of love, you allow a friendly spirit towards others. How can I help them? You have taken 5 years to deal with certain physical trouble. And see somebody else suffering from the same trouble. What you have gained in 5 years, you give the whole mature understanding to the other person immediately, without calculating. That I took 5 years, that this person also must. At least 4 years. So that type of feeling movement becomes bhakti yoga. Likewise your will, likewise your intellectual understanding. All these, if they are just going after quick success, then that's not yoga. But all these are going into allowing your soul to shine brighter and brighter. And that requires integral personality, integrating movement. Dominated by petty desires, one engages oneself in the performance of petty actions. Lot of petty things. And in this statement, you must understand, even the world may say, someone has taken such a mighty work. But if behind that activity and behind the worldly success, if there is no iota of love of God, no iota of attaining liberation, then all that you have done is petty, little. So if you continue with petty actions, thus you are wasting the opportunity of human embodiment. As I have already said, it doesn't mean to create in your mind big conflict and run away from every work. No matter whatever work you are doing, your angle of the mind changes. You are doing the work not just to be recognized by people how great you are, but to doing the work for really serving yourself and serving others. Be good, do good philosophy. If it is not helping you to become internally calm and relaxed, if it is not helping you to make others internally relaxed, if that type of relation you have not developed, then all that you are getting is petty. Because your every success and prosperity will involve hurting many people. So you are crushing your heart while you are externally gloating about your success. So that is not wisdom. The mind in the ignorant is like a wild elephant that has broken the fetters of discrimination. It's allegorical description. Mind in spiritual aspirant is like an elephant that you have controlled it. You have brought strong ropes and chains, and you have chained the elephant to a higher project. But if you are not a spiritual aspirant, the elephant of mind has no string attached, nothing to control it. And so what it does, it becomes passionately attached to the elephant, to the she-elephant of, and who is the she-elephant? Craving. Mind is your elephant. She-elephant is the craving. And this is a matching relation. Celebrate their marriage. But the scripture gives more ghastly picture. It goes after the she-elephant. But between the elephant and the she-elephant, there is a marshy land. And the elephant is unable to discriminate because of intoxicated by passion. So as he moves, he just falls. And some Some people who trap elephant, they create this type of setting. The tongue in a human being is like a restless vulture perched on the tree of the body. First point, use the tongue in a very normal way. Led by tongue, so much trouble comes to human personality. Health trouble. It's a doctor's business. So the moment you take up any curative measure, your tongue needs to be controlled. And living a healthy life requires keeping your tongue under control. Not everything that seems so tempting and so looks so wonderful, delicious. There are things that shout at you, I'm so delicious. The tongue should not go after like a restless vulture. And using it from a higher level, tongue being a symbol of your desire for enjoying objects of pleasure, desire for acquiring wealth, possessions, all that is, that's what the scripture says, ma gridha kashvid dhanam. Do not be a vulture. Gridha. Greed term and gridha term both are identical, synonym. Gridha, Sanskrit word, from that comes greed. Just like the vultures fly very high. See how high it has gone. But its eyes are the lowest rotted stuff. So this is a vulture's vision. All this is said very quickly, but this is psychology. And everyone is subject to it. Everyone has to discover and gradually control the mind. Mind needs to be controlled, but you have to understand what are the elements that will make you degraded and how you can gradually allow yourself to be the master of your mind and allow your I am to shine. Struck by frost, a lotus withers and becomes soiled and deformed. In the same manner, struck by the frost of old age and soiled by the insults of one's own relatives and servants, a person becomes devoid of beauty and charm. You are giving a long range of your whole life before you. You have so much idea, so much imagination. You wanted to make a whole setting of lake of life filled with lotuses of attainments. Your personality is that's your vision, and you work for it. But all this was your ego's deal. It was not ideal. So what happens? While all this is there before you, wonderful lotuses, wonderful progress, and suddenly aging comes. Suddenly you begin to develop mental ailments. So it's just like you waited for a pond for a lake to be filled with lotuses. And suddenly the weather changed and frost started falling and all those lotuses withered away. That's the predicament of every individual. Are you living just to live that way? If you don't have any spiritual purpose, then what have you gained? All struggle you did, all things that you acquired. You saw your family progressing, your son, grandson, and a big family, all spread out from Alaska to Australia. But what have you gained? They are all waiting for you to die. There comes the stage. One way or the other, they are not going to help you when you are suffering from old age, disease, and manifold troubles. This is not being said to make you miserable, but this is the fact of life. And just to quote the Gita, Lord Krishna describing the characteristics of jnana. If jnana is developing in your personality, your mind begins to turn towards vairagya, because mind begins to look at janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. How much pain is involved when a baby is born? On the side of the baby, on the side of the mother, and so many things. So, getting reborn again and again, that should not be your goal. One birth already you have, can't go backward on it. But learn lesson from it. Next, mrityu. Here again, people always look at death something outside. They see others dying and they become involved in it. But the idea, you are as much the same. You are going to have the same experience as others. And your mortality will be more intimate to you. And that you can't avoid it. So are you prepared for it? Jara. And again your physical body, how it, in your youthful state, how you feel wonderful about it. No matter how you jump, you feel happy. How you bend, you become more flexible. But come to the aging state, every movement you have to be careful. Countless troubles begin to develop. But don't wait to become aged then to think of what to do. Be well prepared internally. If your mind is well set in a positive way, nature will give you great flexibility. You will enjoy good health in the sense that your thinking will not go away. Your good health will not mean that your hairs will not turn grey. It simply means you will enjoy your aging process as much as you enjoyed your youthful process. And if you are more mature, you are enjoying more. Because even though your body is aging, you are not the body. Even your house is getting gradually in a dilapidated process. But you are not the house. You have a better house waiting out there. Much better, a palace. I'm giving a simple way to understand. So therefore, it is not a painful, sorrowful predicament of facing aging process. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are highlights of human misery. Dukkha doshanudarshanam. And countless sorrowful thoughts arise on the basis of these changes that occur in you. Just as a swan leaves a lake that is dried up, never to return in the same manner, when the water of youth is dried up, one's life hastens to renounce the body forever. Keeping up with the same. How youthful age comes, and under youthful, a kind of intoxicated state. Youthful age has a kind of intoxication. At that time, people don't like to hear anything. Nothing is impossible. And nature allows you to believe that way, and you come out, no matter which way you go, you come out fine. But that water of youth dries up in course of time. When you don't have that youthful vitality, vigor, zeal, what happens? Then your very life is going to quit you, that you begin to understand that. The mind in the ignorant continues to tumble into the dark well of the world process. And that's not well. And to sink in the stagnating water of delusion. The life allegorically being described. If you are living with delusion, delusional mind, the flow of life stops. You face your life as a stagnant river or a stagnant pool of water. The same problems that you face 5 years back, you are still facing the same. The stagnant water is not gone. It holds the same picture, the same problem. There's nothing new. But if you bring spiritual sadhana, japa, meditation, a plan of integral yoga in your daily life, good association, doing good deeds to others, The moment when you begin to do all this, now life is flowing. So things that were 5 years back, they are not the same. When four years back, you were different. 3 years back, you are still different in a different way. I'm just giving a simple way to understand. And what you are now, you begin to understand, no matter how wonderful you have understood things. A bigger revelation is waiting for you. That means your life is flowing. But if you develop the idea, oh, I already know, I have nothing more to know. Life has stopped. So don't put your life into this predicament of being stagnant. Life must flow on like a river. And when it flows on, its goal becomes union with the ocean of enlightenment. If it is not, its goal becomes a residential place for frogs, fishes, crabs. Grab all the worries and anxieties, fears and miserable thoughts, and we stay with the stagnant life. The stagnating waters of delusion, where miseries abide like numerous frogs. With youth as its waves, desire, anger, hatred, and fear. Fear as its foam. This is again described as life is a stagnant river. The waves in that river is a youthful stage. But still it's stagnant. It's within if you are not moving towards enlightenment, your youthful state is just helping the stagnant pond look better. And delightful for the fishes and frogs. Desire, anger, hatred, and fear. That is the foam of that pond. If life is like a pond, like a lake, is stagnant, then this is a foam. Foams just come and go. A desire comes up, foams up. Then it bursts. Anger comes out of it. All these impurities are like foam. Greed and craving as its whirlpool. And that pond has also internal troubles, whirlpools. The life of the ignorant continues to stagnate in vain. O friend, this is Vasa telling Vilasa, such thoughts as, I have performed this work, I am doing this work, I am going to do that work, serve only as a net to trap the bird of intellect and to keep it in a state of delusion. Mind is always busy. What you have accomplished, what you are going to accomplish. Ignoring the real purpose. Who am I? How am I related to God? What's the purpose of life? This profound insight that would change your entire life, that insight is not interesting for you. But constantly you are any opportunity for gaining insight, you turn away from it because you create such projects. Putting all the ducks together requires a lot of time and energy. Who cares for who am I? So your bird of your intellect is trapped. It doesn't have the possibility to fly and soar. And just as an intoxicated elephant continues to smash lotuses in a lake, so that's what you do. Your own virtuous qualities that could have made your life much better. Your mind feels peaceful, but then your big elephant foot entertains in your mind irritability, anger. And the big foot crushes that little tender feeling that came into your heart. And these thoughts, this is my friend, this is my enemy, this is desirable, this is not desirable. All these thoughts, but not the thought of who am I. They continue to injure the tender feelings of the heart. Some more description will continue. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.